I never thought I'd see the day, right? Like typewriters. They're back.
Back.
Yeah. It's wild, but they're not just for collectors anymore. People are actually using them.
Well, that's interesting. What made you think about that?
I was reading this article, A Stroll Through Still Thriving Typewriting Institutes from the Hindu,
Oh, cool. When did it come out?
September 3rd. Anyway, it got me thinking. It talks about how these typing institutes in Chennai, India are packed. Like people are lining up to learn on these things.
I mean, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's like, in a world of laptops and smartphones, why are typewriters still a thing?
Right. Okay, so picture this. You walk into one of these places and it's all these Godrej Primas.
Godrej Primus.
No, those are the typewriters they use in Chennai now. And the sound, it's just this constant like click-clacking.
I can imagine. It's almost like stepping back in time. It really makes you question this idea of technology always just disappearing.
Right, like we assume the new stuff just erases the old stuff.
Exactly. But typewriters, they're kind of proving that wrong.
And get this, the article talks about this guy, Mr. Nagrajan. He runs the Padma Typewriting Institute, and he knows everything about these machines.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he's got all these vintage ones on display, Underwoods, Remingtons, you name it.
The fact that they can even repair those old machines is pretty impressive, though,
Totally.
Godrej closed its last typewriter factory back in 2011.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that recent.
So for them to still be going strong, they must be doing something right.
That makes you wonder if there's something about India, maybe, that's keeping those typewriters alive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. India's got this whole history with bureaucracy.
Yeah, true.
And a lot of their government stuff, it still relies on typed documents.
So those typewriters are still relevant there in a way they might not be in other places.
Exactly. It shows how technology, it doesn't just spread out evenly everywhere. Sometimes it sticks around where it's needed.
And it's more than just government offices, right? Like this article, it also talks about this place called Murali Typewriting Institute. It's family run, been around since '86.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, and they even have this one student came all the way from Australia with their kid just to take classes there.
Really? That's incredible. It's like there's this whole other layer to it. It's not just about practicality. It's like sentimental almost.
Right? Like passing down a skill.
Yeah.
I bet there's just something about using a typewriter, the feel of it.
Oh, absolutely. It's tactile.
Yeah.
There's that physicality to it. You press a key and you feel it. It's like a little ritual.
Totally. And you can't beat that sound. It's so satisfying,
Yeah.
To hear the keys hitting the paper, watching the words appear, it's different from typing on a screen, for sure.
It is. And you know what else is interesting? They were talking about these typewriter poetry buskers.
Typewriter poetry buskers, what's that?
So you've got these poets, and they'll just set up, like on a street corner with their typewriter, and they'll write you a poem right there on the spot.
No way.
Yeah. They're popping up all over the place. It's like this whole performance art thing.
That's wild. It's like we're so used to everything being digital, instant. Maybe we miss that personal touch, something real made just for you.
I think you're onto something. It's like a craving for authenticity, for something tangible, something that connects us to a different time. That's what those typewriters represent, It's not just nostalgia. It's a reaction to how we live now.
It's interesting. So we've got these practical reasons, the need for them in some places, but then also this desire for a slower pace, something tangible. What else is it about typewriters? What makes them so fascinating to people? This whole conversation got me thinking. I dug out this old typewriter I've got up in the attic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I got to say, just typing a few sentences on that thing, it feels different,
Different how?
It's like you have to slow down.
Okay.
Like every word, you really think about it.
That makes sense. There's no backspace, no deleting. Every keystroke, it's there to stay. You're forced to be present in the moment.
Yes, exactly. And there's no way to get distracted. You're not checking email. You're not scrolling through anything. It's just you and the page.
It's like a form of meditation almost. A way to escape all the digital noise.
Totally. And I think that's what people are looking for these days. Like everything's so fast-paced. We're craving those real, tangible experiences like we were talking about before. Vinyl records, film photography, it's all connected.
Absolutely. We want to touch things, feel them, smell them. Remember the smell of a brand new book or the way a record feels spinning on a turntable. You don't get that from a screen.
Right. There's just something about those analog experiences that just hits different.
It's that human element, that connection to the past, to a different way of doing things. And with a typewriter, you're part of that process. You're creating something tangible, one keystroke at a time.
That's a great point. It's like this conversation we've been having. Typewriters, they're not just about nostalgia. They're making us rethink our relationship with technology, how we can slow down, appreciate the tangible world around us.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, we can learn a thing or two from the past as we move into the future.
Well said. That's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of typewriters. Who knew those click-clacking machines could spark such a fascinating conversation? Until next time, everyone, keep those keys clicking, whether they're digital or analog.